Greetings there, my fellow Seraphs. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story, episode 108, Spring. You love burnt toast, but not super burnt? Well, I think in game you can assume that this isn't super burnt. The reason being is the game considers it still edible. And my 10 bronze is done. Alright, so armor. My chest piece was way worse off than any other piece, so I'm just going to fully repair the chest. The other pieces are kind of okay. So now I have armor again, which is good. And then the solder's done. And I believe to make the individual solder, I just saw it in half. But I'll double check. Yeah, I just saw it in half. Done. Alright, we got everything we need for our still now. So let's double check. Distillery. So the condenser, I have the copper plates, 1 and 2. I've got the soldering iron and the solder. So there's the condenser for the still. And then for the boiler, I have the copper plates, the solder, and the soldering iron. And now my still is complete. I just need to assemble. I also need a bucket to go with it. But I'm also going to multitask processing the iron because the steel batch we have is almost done. The steel batch that is currently running is almost done. And I'm going to need 16 iron ingots for the next one. What is going on with this lag? There we go. And I don't want to waste a high wind event. Only Badger, you are welcome for the content, and thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Let's use this bucket, and I'll make a new bucket later. Wish I could just, like, drink the water. Oh, it's really starting to look like spring out here. As I'm gliding around on ice. Which is weird. I guess the snow melted? No, there's still a snow layer. It's funny, I'm actually going to need water for the this process. So, let me remind myself, I haven't actually built one of these in a while. A distillery is a boiler that leads to a condenser. So I think putting the boiler down first makes sense. How about we place it here? Nope. Gotta rotate that. There we go. Boiler, condenser to a bucket. So I should have everything up on blocks. I should raise it all up a little bit. As well. Right, let's move the ingots around, and then I'll get back to that. I'm not even going to help this time. Or I could have it on a table. Let's do tables. Looks a little bit more elegant, maybe. Things are getting a little cramped here, though. So maybe I'll have the still be over here for space. even though it's a little weird because you set a fire under the boiler. So no, I take that back. You can float there. So I think what I'm going to do is replace some of the ground here with granite, full granite blocks. So it just looks right. And also because I won't be able to replace the soil under there once it's all running. And luckily, I have plenty of building materials for that. Okay, no, it won't look so weird. And yeah, it is a jug under there. No, I think a bucket works. At least it fits. So the way it works is you fill the boiler with water, you light a fire, and then you put your juice in the condenser. Is that right? Again, it's been a while. Alcohol brewing. Wiki. All right, so distilled alcohol, fermentation. I'm also going to need a barrel for the fermentation process. I know these barrels were just used for compost. Let's pretend that isn't the case. It's the juice that gets boiled. So, yeah, let's press our juice into the bucket. Oops. Our cranberries. So I have, I'm juggling so many other tasks right now, so do forgive me. I know it's confusing at the moment, because I'm like processing ingots and everything else. So we're probably not going to be able to use the distillery just yet, just because there's other things that need to happen first. I kind of got ahead of myself, but we are moving towards it. So the first thing that I want to do is to put cranberries in there, and then press the cranberries in the fruit press. So cranberries are in here. It's not a full stack. I'd want more, but I don't know where to get more. You know what, actually? Hold on one second. Let me check my I do have cranberries growing out here. That's red currants. Here's my cranberries. So these have not flowered. So my guess is that the cranberries that I found were like rendered in through the pruning process, and as a result, they were full grown. So the last lamb has not matured either. Oh, I got milk. No, I didn't. They're both too stressed. Did I stress both of you guys out? Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah, okay, they're both stressed. Okay, so pressing the juice now. Finally. There we go. It's full. And that's going to produce 10 liters of juice when squeezed. So then I right-click and squeeze it. It's corkscrewed all the way down. It takes a minute to actually process, you know. But the pressure has been applied. And then once it's fully pressed, I can release the screw, take the bucket, and put the bucket in the... Oop, that's not how to do that. Put the bucket in there. So now that's cranberry juice and I can seal it to create cranberry wine after 7 days of sealing. I'm going to make a second pressing of all of the remaining cranberries that I have, which is not much. But then in here, it also gives me cranberry mash, which is slightly edible for animals. So it makes for animal feed. So it's really easy to feed animals in the summer or when there is fruit flowering everywhere, just because you have byproduct, because you don't eat cranberry mash. So this is acceptable for goats, bighorn sheep, chickens, and pigs, and I have bighorn sheep, so now they can bulk up on mash. And actually, their creature weight is still really good. That one's the young one. Hey, don't ram me. So this is the one I want to fatten up, because this is the Generation 1 animal. The one that is the offspring of Generation 0. Oops. And each generation becomes easier to milk than the previous. Alright. So with the second pressing, we can... Oh, Jesus, it just deleted it, didn't it? Because I pressed backwards. Yes, it somehow deleted the extra juice. Whatever, I'm going to close this. And that becomes cranberry wine. And then once I have cranberry wine, I can put the cranberry wine through the boiler and condenser to make cranberry liquor. And then if I take the liquor and put it through again, I can make aquavitae, which is like healing alcohols. Oh, whatever. Here, throw a nugget at you. Cool. So the still is done, and yeah. And now I'm going to dig up my charcoal so that I can keep running steel. Whoa, I got lucky. Almost all of the wood processed to charcoal on that stack. It's almost full. 7/8 full and 8/8 on the second layer. If only I could get lucky like that in all sections. Actually, this one? Oh, that's 5/8. I mentioned this before, but the way it works is for every stack of wood, there's a chance of some of it becoming charcoal. And then all the charcoal that is generated from each piece of wood put in settles to the bottom, so none of it floats. So, in other words, if you had like a 1x1x14 totem pole of firewood processing to charcoal, all of your charcoal would settle to the bottom. So that you would get, if you had a 14 high pillar of firewood turning into charcoal, 14 because I think 14 is the max, once it was done, you'd have like a, let's say, 7 unit high of charcoal. You know, because that's how it forms. Okay, so we have the charcoal for more steel. Perfect. And I have all that brown coal for the iron processing. So the current priority right now is to process iron blooms. So I'm going to put the charcoal away so I don't waste it. So I'll need 168 charcoal for another run of steel. So we have most of the charcoal we need for the next run, which is good. I'm also running out of food too. My vegetable fell behind, but that's really easy to fulfill because I have more vegetables than anything. So I'm just gonna grab a bunch of onions and throw them in a pot. Call it good. There's also the bees that have swarmed, and I might need to harvest some of the honey, or I should harvest some of the honey if they're fully large but not harvestable, large but not harvestable. So they're not all harvestable, but enough of them are harvestable that there's a sizable amount of bee harvest to be done in there as well. So 7 of the 16 we need for the next batch. And the current steel batch is 87% done. It is nighttime, so as soon as this last 2 blooms are processed, I'll also go to sleep. That will accelerate it even further. Come on. There's also the cottage cheese that needs to get processed too. Maybe I'll do that in the morning. It's not at risk of rot, but I would like to move the process along to make full-fledged cheese, which would be a really cool milestone as well. Okay, there we go. So 9 out of the 16. Not bad. Grab some food before I starve. I feel like I'm always on the brink of starving. I'll just leave the rest on the fire, it's fine. Oh, no, never mind. Boink. We got it all. I had room. What's going on? I'm trying to eat this. There it goes. I think it was just like lag or something. Yeah, so let's go to sleep. Rawhide is now perishable? I didn't actually notice that. That's good to know. Do I need special tools to get the honey? No, but I will need cattails to replace these skeps that I destroy. So with cottage cheese, to make cheese, I need to grab the cottage cheese and a piece of linen. So we are burning some linen in this process, but that's okay. And then I'm also going to need a stick. Sounds like the wind is pretty good to continue iron bloom processing too. So I got my stick and I got my linen. So the linen is going to act as cheesecloth. So then I use the linen on the barrel. How do I do this again? Let me read. To make cheese, needs cottage cheese and 1 piece of linen. Oh, I might need 2 linen. Place, so use the linen in hand on the barrel. Oh, in hand. There we go. So here's my curd bundle. And then I use a stick on it. And then I squeeze the liquid out of the curd bundle to get raw cheese. And then I can wax this. So this is... Does this look right? open the bundle to reveal raw cheese, and I need to add 5 salt to make it into raw salted cheese. So let's go ahead and add some salt. I'm just going to grind up a bunch because I don't want to constantly have to grab more. I think there's enough wind to probably run the Helvhammer and the Quarn at the same time, but for right now, because it's a wee bit time sensitive, I'll run just the Quarn. Because I don't have the axle to run both. Also checking up on the steel, 95, with 5 and 4 left. I don't think I'll need to refuel it. On top of that, I want to make waxed cheese, so I'm going to grab some beeswax as well. And there's also the other cottage cheese segment to be processed too. Okay, I got the 5 salt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so here's the raw cheese that is salted, and I store in a cellar shelf to ripen. Or I can wax it. And now, it is... Does it have to be a shelf? Maybe it has to be a shelf. Either way, I want to make a shelf. So, 4 boards. Which is a problem because all of my wood is processed and cut. One minute. Oh, good. I love when I have unwelcomed company. Yeah, things are really drippy and melty out here. It's hovering around freezing, so we're about to have a big thaw. As we enter springtime at around March 9th. This is probably player-planted pine, but I'll double-check for resin. No, this is no resin. One change I would probably make, just as like a quality of life, is if you look at any part of the trunk, it tells you whether it's leaky or not. Wouldn't make sense. I get why. Maybe I wouldn't even make that change. Right? Screw the player. Make it hard for them. Make it hard for us. Alright, 60 boards sounds like a pretty good amount for now. I can keep the rest of the wood for woodworking or for charcoal making. Done. Cheese shelf. Okay, there it is. It's gonna ripen in 17 days. I'm gonna get my linen back and do the same thing. Boom. Got my curd bundle. Stick a stick in it. Squeeze the liquid out. This is also how you make tofu. There is soy in the game, but there isn't tofu, and I suspect that maybe tofu will be in the works eventually. Salted it. Waxed it. and stick it on a shelf. We have cheese. I'm freaking excited, man. That's awesome. We have an extra barrel with milk. Man, that milk looks weird. But we have an extra barrel with milk, so if I end up getting enough milk to warrant a full batch of cheese, or at least 25 of it, because you kind of make it in batches of 25 or 50. So if I get 2 more buckets of milk at any point, I'll make more cheese, but I'm not going to go out of my way because I already have cheese, so it's not hyper important that I get like double batches of cheese. So I had mentioned wanting to process the iron, but I'm going to put that off for now, and do the bees, even though I'm a little over time, because I feel like I am going to forget to do them if I don't do them now. So in order to do the bees, well, I'll harvest them now. So are all skeps swarmed? All skeps are swarmed and harvestable, so I'll harvest 5. So I'll harvest this one. This one. Middle one. And the reason not to harvest them all is bees will populate empty skeps adjacent, but if you harvest all of them, then you have no bees left. So I'm harvesting my four corners in the middle and leaving the other 4. And then this honeycomb I can press into honey into the bucket that I have in the kitchen. So then what I need to do is replace the skeps so that they can swarm back to it, which is going to require me to get a little bit of clay and probably more cattail as well. I do have some cattail in here, but I don't have clay. I'm going to quickly grab clay. Oh, look, you can really see it thawing out in real time. As we're heading into spring. The world's looking a wee bit different. So much more vibrant. God, that looks nice. I really do love the seasons, and I love the winter, because the winter makes the spring pop all so much more. I used to have blue clay here. Oh yeah, there's still a little. That might be the last of it, though. I'm not really seeing anymore. But that'll be enough for the skeps. Oh no, there's more back here. I'm just gonna grab a bunch so I don't have to come back out next time I need more skeps or whatever. Also grabbing some heather. Heather is the primary flower that I have in the apiary because it's really low to the ground, so it doesn't like block line of sight. But there were some parts of the apiary that I didn't have heather, so I'm just grabbing heather to fix up the apiary as well while I'm at it. So the bees, when you harvest them, they get pissed and they'll swarm, but they calm down. So I need 5 skeps, right? 1, 2. So I'm missing some cattail for it. That's enough for 3. So I need, what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I need 32 cattail to finish. I should just... Well, the cattail's not clustered. I was going to say I should just grab my scythe, but because it's just like 1 or 2 cattail here or there, the scythe wouldn't really help all that much. Especially if the cattail's in ice. Oh god, sliding around in this ice, man, makes it really hard to control. Oh, 12. Okay. Hi, Rift. Don't stand near a rift too long unless you want to go insane. One of the winter tasks that I never got around to, that was potentially something I could have done, which is to dig up all the cattail roots and replant them near the base, so that I have like a cattail farm. To make it... Oh, did you die? Rip. To make it more convenient to grab cattail when I need it. But never got around to it. So many other winter projects. One of the suggestions that I've seen posted a lot about the game is like a more expensive but permanent skep, so you don't have to keep nuking your skeps and rebuilding them every time, which is really inconvenient if you live in a biome that doesn't have a lot of cattail. Because if you live in a biome without a lot of cattail, it's obnoxious to try to get a lot of honey. It's really labor intensive. All right, skeps are done. Will you reward me with milk? Nope. Nope. So did the other lamb? No, the other lamb's still a lamb. Alright, let's put these skeps down. And then when the bees swarm, they get pissed. But if you have straw dummies, the straw dummies will, like, tank for you. Oh, I didn't place that forward. I'll fix that. Can you harvest an empty skep without it just getting destroyed? Yes, good. What's blocking that? There. Come on. There it goes. I think you can actually just take an empty skep. You don't even need to, like, destroy it. Okay. So now, these bees will swarm to adjacent empty skeps, and I'll be able to harvest again. So I'm going to get rid of the cranberry bush here. I don't need it anymore. And while I'm here, I'm going to replace the non-heather with heather. So the other thing is bees will swarm depending on the amount of flowers that are around them. So the more flowers that are around them, the more they swarm. So apiary should be flowers, not fruiting, not fruit, not farm crops, just flowers. And the more, the merrier. So now I think it's just a field full of heather. And then 1 carrot. And these carrots were just so that I knew that it was a greenhouse, because you can see the plus 5 Celsius from a greenhouse. So they're sort of like a thermometer carrots. I realize how stupid that sounds, but that's true. So we have a little bit of spare heather and other flowers. I'm just going to plant them out here rather than destroying them. It's going to be a lot easier to feed our animals with dry grass now that it's springtime, though. That's another massive benefit, because having to feed them all the grain completely depleted our grain. But with the snow gone, it's going to be way easy to keep them fed. So last few things I wanted to do. Let's actually top up their troughs. Or maybe not top it up, but just to supply them with a little bit of grain, just because the snow's gone. It's going to be quick to just scythe a bunch of dry grass and stick it in the trough. And then press the honey, and then we're done. I could stockpile hay for next winter, but I'm out of time. I'm over time. What I could do for next winter is build a roofed section, a really large open field with like a roof wall over it. So I don't even necessarily need to stockpile it. I just grow grass during the winter, keeping the snow off of it by having a giant roofed up greenhouse, open air greenhouse, I guess. So the reason I'm doing this is so that the new lamb that I have can gain weight, and as it gains weight, it will be suitable for breeding, because the Generation 1 lamb, once lactating, is a lot easier to milk. I'm getting milk. They're a lot easier to milk. So 95% of the time, the Generation Zeros will refuse to give you milk. And for Generation 1, it's 67% of the time. So, you know, a third of the time rather than a 5%. It's a pretty big difference, and it makes it a lot easier to milk Generation 1. And then, of course, their offspring will be Generation 2, which is, I think, only refuses it, I think, a third of the time. And then Generation 3 doesn't ever refuse to be milked, meaning that Generation 3 is completely reliable, you know, when you're trying to milk it, which is amazing. All right, so the very last goal is honey. I don't even really need to process the honeycomb. Yeah, I can put the bucket there. But I'm just... Oh, I'm doing it wrong. No, don't eat it. There it goes. Put the honey in the bucket. And this honey can be used later on for like bandages or whatever else. Even mead. I think you can make honey mead, right? But probably bandages. If we're going into endgame dungeons, I'm going to want bandages galore out of sulfur and honey. So, friends, I think this is almost where I'm going to leave off. Oh, that wind. Please stay windy when I come back. But yeah, this is where I'm going to leave off with the steel done. Blister steel is done. The coal has burned down, and the second batch of steel is complete. And I'm gonna end on that bombshell. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story, which originally streamed live on Twitch, February 29th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you in next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Seraphs.